teach people how to get rich. Because why would they waste their time? They're rich now, and they're living a great life. Life begins when you're rich. You're hoping to work your whole life and maybe be rich at the end, but then you're going to die, then your life is over. Life begins when you're rich. Life begins when you get to go to beautiful places in beautiful cars, stay at a beautiful hotel, and eat beautiful food, and wake up when you want. That's when life begins. Before that, it's only slavery. This is why university is such a scam. Modern university is a scam. They charge you $100,000 to go and learn how to be successful from professors who are still poor. Maybe they make 150 grand a year, 200 grand a year. That's poor to me. They can't afford my cars. They can't afford my life. Not on that measly wage. Not on 200 grand a month could they afford my life. They are not rich. So why are they telling you how to be successful? All of your friends and family who mean well, who want the best for you, they're giving you advice because they love you, but it doesn't mean it's good advice because they don't know what they're talking about. It can be the best intentioned advice in the world. If they don't know what they're talking about, then it doesn't mean anything. They are still inside the matrix. These people have never been rich. They've never been to where you want to go. So how could they possibly know the way? I've climbed to the top of the mountain, so I can tell you the mountain path. If someone's never climbed the mountain, how can they tell you how to get to the top? Your university professor, your friends, your family, everyone is telling you how to make money, save your money. They don't have a clue what they're talking about. I do. I've done it. That's why I've been trying to show you from the beginning of this how much money I make and how much money I spend. It's easy for me to lie about how much I make, but I can't lie about what I spend. You can see with your own eyes on video what I spend. I am making huge sums of money because I've escaped the matrix. Go to uni, get a job, work hard, get a promotion, save up, get a mortgage, put some money into your pension, invest a little bit in the stock market. This is the garbage that you've already been told. Everyone said this to you before. It's common knowledge. How many people do you know have taken this common knowledge and applied it, and now they have a supercar collection of 17 supercars? None. Zero. Common knowledge doesn't work. Because if common knowledge worked, it wouldn't be common knowledge. It would be uncommon knowledge. And if it did work, it would stop working soon. It can't work for everybody. This is the normal advice. This is the advice people told me, right? These are the things I was told. I just didn't listen. Because the person who was telling me this advice, I looked at their life and thought, you're not rich. So why do I want to be like you? You are not rich. I don't want to live like you. You're not a rich person. I didn't inspire to be the people who gave me that advice, so I didn't listen. If people do not have a quality of life you desire, if they do not know something you want to know, then there's nothing to learn from them. All the people around you who are teaching you, if they are not living the exact life you want, or if they don't have something about their life that you want, there's nothing to learn from these people. Everyone who's telling you things, there's nothing good about their lives. Even if you don't want supercars like me, you could have spent that $10 million on something else. Wine, postage stamps, I don't care. Travel the world, it doesn't matter. The point is, you can still look at my life and go, okay, he has enough fiscal freedom. He has enough freedom with his finance to spend $10 million on whatever he wants. That's something everyone should aspire to. Because if you do not aspire to that, the only alternative is hard coke and slavery. The only alternative is to go, well, I don't really care about money. You know, I'm happy with my job and I've got enough to eat and I don't mind. I don't mind being told what to do and being a slave for the matrix. Fine, good for you. I need someone to build my roads and pump my gas, but I'm not that guy. I want to live my one life free to do what I want and not have some boss tell me what to do, tell me what week of the year I'm allowed to enjoy myself, tell me what time to wake up in the morning. That's not me. The real problem, is what I've already said, the real problem is that every second of the day, every second of your existence, you are being programmed to be a slave. You are being programmed. The things you hear, the people who talk to you, what they teach you in school, what's on the news, what's on social media, what they tell you about wealth creation, what they tell you about governments and politics. It's all about programming you to keep doing hard work for low wages and still being taxed afterwards and not fighting back. You are being programmed and you can't stop it. The matrix is not built on iron bars. This is not a physical jail, it's a mental jail. They have to put the jail on your mind. They don't restrict your body, they put the jail on your mind via programming. They keep you ignorant. They keep you suspicious. There's no joy without pain. There's no sunshine without rain. You need up and down. This is how the world works.
As a man, you must build yourself. And I agree that society puts huge pressure on men, and it's time for men to perform. As a man, you either perform or you don't. There's no safety net. The men who say, I can't feel like it, cannot compete with the men who do not say that. And it is player versus player. The man who goes to the gym every single day, regardless of how he feels, will always beat the man who goes to the gym when he feels like going to the gym. And it's player versus player.
A good man controls himself. I have absolute self-control. Emotional control is absolutely and utterly important as a man. You need to understand as a man, there are certain principles under which you act, regardless of how you feel. Bam. I can wake up in a terrible mood. I can wake up sad. I can ache. I can have a busy day, stressed, etc. I will complete the same tasks as if I woke up in a fantastic mood. I'll do the same things because how I feel has no bearing on the things I'm going to do in my day because I have duty to myself. There is no light without dark. You will not appreciate your six-pack unless you didn't have one and you had to earn it. That's how the world works. So when I talk to these dudes like, oh, but it's, you know what, Tate, yeah, I agree, but you know, it's hard. It's hard. Of course it is. It's supposed to be. And if you're not cut out for it, then fuck off and live a normal existence and die. Sit there, letting other men enjoy the spoils of being a man, and can die. If that's what you want to do, is just sit there and exist and then fade into history unremembered. That's your decision. If you want to level up your character, then you need to get out here and do it. You need to be around brave men. You need to get some balls. You need to get your network together. You need to be paying attention, listen to the truth, humble yourself, stop sitting there with an ego. That's the game. But I made myself this way. I wasn't born this way. I absolutely and utterly made myself this way. And any single one of you men out here can do the same thing. I was always looking for, I wouldn't say happiness or contentment, but I was always looking to try and break out of the 9 to 5, just the normal monotony of day-to-day life. I think that men have a very unique life path, and it's very difficult to try and achieve status as a man. It's not easy to stand out from the crowd. And even what women expect of an important man, you need to be smart, charismatic, intelligent, strong, have a nice car, nice apartment, good network, good friends. You need to be able to handle stress. You need to be competent. There's so many things you need to be able to do. It's difficult for a young man to even have all these things. You need to start leveling up your mentality, your spirituality. You need to level up your ability, physicality. There's so many different ways you can level up, like a video game character, right? Once you have all the unlimited money, you can then start ticking all the stats boxes.
Knowledge.
Well, when guys say to me, okay, well, how do I make women respect me? I say, well, how do you respect yourself? That's the first thing. No one's going to respect you if you don't respect yourself. Do other men respect you? Like, what? Yeah. How do you act in a way that commands respect from anybody? I say, look, if you focus on yourself and make yourself be who you are and being a high-value male, women will detect it and it won't be so difficult for you. You have to respect yourself first. And how does a woman respect a man? When she sees that he respects himself and other men respect him. You need to understand that the world you live in as a man, in my personal view, has been very purposefully constructed. It's been constructed in a way to destroy your masculine power. And the future of the world, especially in the West, is a further encroachment on your sovereign ability, your sovereign thoughts, your base instincts, the things that make you happy. Absolutely nobody is concerned with male happiness on any level. They don't want you to be happy. They want you to be miserable. A miserable slave in a tax bracket. And you have to understand this. And the only way you can combat against it is to take significant action. You have to take significant action. You have to use the internet. It's the tool they're using. The internet is the tool they're using to brainwash the masses. You need to combat it and use their own tool against them to seek out the kind of information, knowledge, and friends that you need to have around you. You're going to be the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So that, if everyone understands that, as an intelligent person, you're going to be extremely careful and you're going to curate heavily the 5 people you hang around with. So you need to be aware of what's happening around you, and you need to curate for yourself a social network of people who understand that and are doing their best to combat that. That is the most basic imperative of the masculine frame, which has been destroyed in real time. They are trying to convince you that you should act how you feel. You should show more of your feelings. If you feel this way, you should show it. If you want to cry, cry. Look, I have no problem with guys crying. What I'm saying is the reason they're trying to bring out emotionality in you is most of the time you don't feel like doing the things you're supposed to do. But the true masculine frame throughout history was doing the things they didn't want to do, but they knew they had to do because they had honor and duty. When you remove self-control from men, not only do you get emasculated weak men, but what you also get is very dangerous men. There are actually far less genuinely high-value men than there are pretty girls. You can go to any club in any country in the world. I've been to 72 countries. You can go to any club in any country in the world and see pretty girls. If you're going to find a young, in shape, smart, tall, intelligent, rich man, it's extremely difficult to find. And that man has options. He has more options than a beautiful girl. And I'll tell you something. There's always been a large proportion of men in the world who made the choice to stay where they are. And life for them wasn't that bad. But as we reach the future and as time goes on, you're going to notice now that the people who don't chase having a masculine network, if they're not going to be excellent upon themselves and they're not going to be plugged into a serious circle of achievers, their life's going to become terrible. You could just be a normal dude, and your life really wasn't that bad. But now we live in a situation where you just can't just be a normal dude anymore. Being a normal dude is no longer an option.
So as a man, you have to be doing something to try and improve your status. There's lots of different ways to do it, right? But if you're a man with truly no status in society, now it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. So you have to understand that as a man, you got to gear your life in a certain way. One of the easiest ways to get status is who you know, right? A lot of it's networking, and if you know the right people, you can get some status, at least off them, to some degree. Every single man on earth with enough work can become one. That's the counter side, right? So there is hope at the end of the tunnel, but you got to get up and do it.
You know what I truly think a high-value man is? Okay, it's a few things, right? So there's the obvious evolutionary triggers. The easiest way to be a high-value man is a man who's capable of violence. If you look at it from a biological trigger, it doesn't matter if he's got muscles or he's big or he's tall or whatever. Women understand from a biological perspective, they like a man who can fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if your man had money, a Ferrari, everything, but if you knew for a fact that any dude stepped to him, he'd get sparked, you wouldn't want him. Right, so that's the first thing.
We're suffering from cowardice. We talk about all the problems in the world. It's easy to talk about them all. But you could narrow them all down to the exact same thing. Cowardice, masculine cowardice, all of it. All of this is masculine cowardice. That's all it is.
And you're not going to be able to imitate being a G. You have to go out there and you have to suffer as a man. You got to go through trauma to be a G as a man. Too many dudes out here are trying to imitate. That's what all this is. You're talking about game. You're trying to be something you're not. The real game is to be the man. That's the game. As a man, you need to go through trauma. You need to go through difficult periods. You need to go through things which are extremely uncomfortable to become any kind of man of value. Every single woman on this panel, if you were to ask her to describe the kind of man she wants, she would describe a man who she thinks makes her feel safe, who is dominating, who is smart, who is charismatic, who is interesting, etc. You cannot be all of those things by accident. Any man who grows up with a very, very easy life, who never goes through anything, who's born with a silver spoon in his mouth, is the exact kind of punk which these women don't want to touch, right? As a man, you need to suffer, and you will survive. You need to internalize it, not become a weirdo, accept that the trauma is what's going to make you strong enough to become the kind of man that's respected by society, and you can use it for your own advantage. As a man, if you have not been through extremely difficult processes, you're never going to be a high-value man. So when you ask me that question, the answer is an answer you're not hoping for, because likely you've been avoiding trauma your whole life.
Life is difficult. Everyone has bad news all the time. Things happen to people, and things are going to happen to everyone. And even if you live the perfect life, you're still going to have bad experiences because everything's relative. When people talk about toxic masculinity and all this garbage and we need to make men more feminine, that's not going to make men. It's not going to make the world safer. Yeah. Having a whole bunch of men who give in to their emotions instantly is going to create more monsters. The reality of masculinity is controlling your emotions. This is the reality of being a man. The tenets of masculinity since the dawn of time have been, I was afraid, but I did it anyway. Yeah. This is the tenets of masculinity. Courage. Yeah. That's what courage is. Yep. I was afraid to storm the beaches of Normandy, but I did it anyway. I was afraid to stay on the Titanic, but I did it anyway. This is the whole tenets of masculinity, and now they're saying, oh, if you're afraid, just act afraid, be a pussy. I'm at a point now where I'm working for pointless. Money is fruitless. I don't need it. Yeah. But I can't not do it. I have to. I don't know why I am exactly the way I am. Because I'm a very happy person, but I'm not content. Does that make sense? I'm very happy. I'm not miserable. I'm not depressed in any way. I'm super happy, but also I'm not content. There's no quick fix. There is no replication. There's no way you can falsify on a long enough timeline. So the answer is, if you want to be a man of distinction, you need to go and suffer. That's your answer. One of the only things in this world you can control is your state of mind. You can't control the weather. You can't control other people. You can't even control your health. One of the very few things in the world you have genuine control over is your state of mind. You decide if you're a disciplined person. You decide if you're a happy person. You decide if you're a depressed person. These are things that in real time you can affect in your brain. This is all you can control on Earth. If you can't control that, then you're just a feather in the wind. And life's going to blow you around, and you might land somewhere good, you might land you don't. Nobody knows. I was a 4-time kickboxing world champion. For 12 years, I trained 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I was motivated to train probably about 25% of the time. The rest of the time I went because I am disciplined.
Listen, life is extremely difficult as a man. It's very fucking hard. There is no way I can tell you to win unless you're a top tier man. I can't sit here and give you a cheat code that allows you to stay a loser and win. I can only tell you what I've done. I became extremely wealthy. I became extremely capable. I became extremely smart. I developed a vast network of individuals that nobody wants to mess with. And I set up a life that makes me difficult to damage. The world you now live in is so competitive that if you're not a competitive male, you're going to be perma-depressed. You don't have a mental disease. You're just in a competitive environment and you are losing. You need to become a competitive person. There's no easy way. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck. But if you get to top G, the name, if you get there, it's a life worth living. Chess is a fantastic game because in the game of chess, there's no luck. If you lose, no matter how well you play, if you lose, at some point you made a mistake. Even if it's the most minor mistake, you made a mistake. So you learn to understand that no matter what happens to you, if you lose a scenario, you made a mistake. Maybe it's a tiny one. Maybe it was 2 years ago, whatever, but you made a mistake. And you learn absolute and utter accountability for yourself. And that mentality is extremely powerful to apply to all things in life. So I take the good with the bad. I take all responsibility for absolutely everything, including if a woman leaves me, if a woman stays, if I end up heartbroken, if I end up filled with rage, I take responsibility for that. If something happens to me that makes me enraged, I will take responsibility. Why has this happened to me? Why do I feel this way? How did I end up in this position? Is this healthy in this scenario? And sometimes it is. I've had scenarios in my life where I was prepared to die to protect somebody else, and I was enraged, and it was healthy. I've also had times where I'm in a room by myself, enraged, sitting there going, this is no good for anybody. I need to just calm the fuck down. So emotions are feedback, but stoicism is the ability to process it. And that's what you need to learn as a man. You're never going to be able to turn them off. You're going to feel them. You have to learn how to process them and turn them into a positive. It's energy. It's unlimited energy. I say this all the time. I say that the biggest periods of transformation in my life is when everything was going wrong. When my life was going good, I'm not a hedonistic person. I don't do drugs. I don't gamble. I don't do prostitutes. I don't do anything that hedonistic. But I'll certainly go on the yacht with a bunch of women I know and chill and have some vodka. When life's smooth, then it's semi-hedonistic, pretty relaxed. But when I make my biggest progress, when I really change who I am and change the world, that's when everything's fucked. When things go wrong, or I'm feeling things I don't want to feel, or bad things are happening, that's when I'm like, okay, I currently cannot sleep. I've completed the day's tasks. I've tried to go to bed. I can't sleep. More shit has happened. That's when the amazing things happen in my life. When I was heartbroken, I hit the gym harder, right? If something goes wrong with your payment process, that's when you get fucking inventive. That's business, right? That's when you get inventive. So all the bad things that happen to you as a man, if you're stoic, you get to take unlimited energy. Heartbreak is unlimited energy. So is depression. So is rage. So is sadness. All these negative emotions they tell you to collapse behind. It's like Bruce Lee says, be like water. And people see that as be fluid and just go with the flow. I disagree. If you're like water, you are necessary for life. You are scary when you're enraged. You're powerful. You're beautiful when you're calm. You're so many things when you're like water, right? So if I'm enraged, it's like water behind a dam. You just got to put the dam in place. And you got to get the turbo, the hydroelectrics, but don't tsunami your life. Put the energy somewhere. And this is the most beautiful thing about it, because people message me all the time like, oh, but Tate, you don't know how sad I feel. No, it's incorrect. I know exactly how sad you feel. The difference is I used it. And you're sitting here still crying, some random guy on email for the fucking 3rd month in a row. That's the difference between you and me, my friend. I was becoming a world champion kickboxer. People often talk about depression and say I don't understand it. I will say, listen, there's been times in my life where I was fully functional as an adult. I would never label myself depressed because I don't believe in the idea of labeling myself in the negative, because I don't believe in things that take power from me. But there's been times in my life where I didn't give a fuck if I lived or died. There were times in my life where I went to fight a man for money, and I didn't give a shit if I lost and even woke up again. didn't give a fuck. I had nothing worth living for. I was brokey, didn't have a girlfriend, didn't have any fucking money. Got a 2-day call to fight some world champion. Had to lose 10 kilos in 2 days. Had nothing else going for me. Got on a plane to Dagestan and fucking won. I say this all the time. I say the best things that ever happened to me are the worst things that ever happened to me. All the trauma and bullshit I've been through in my life are the best things that ever happened to me. Because as a man, if you've not had a difficult life, you cannot be good at being a man. Being a good man and being good at being a man, they're two slightly different things. But to be good at being a man, you need to have been through so much shit that when the Matrix deletes your entire life from the internet and starts lying about you at mass, and people start doing protests and wanting you fucking hung, and they're looking for your family members, and reporters start calling every ex-girlfriend you've ever had, trying to convince them and bribe them to lie, to come out and say you're something you're not, when they're genuinely out to put you in jail, that you can sit there and be focused and stoic enough to go, you know what? Okay, that's the chessboard. What's going to happen? Who's trying to shoot me right now? Nobody. Okay, so it's better than it was a couple years ago. Okay. You're never going to be capable as a man if you've not had trauma. The best men ever have had trauma. If you call a police officer, you need a brave police officer. He ain't going to be brave unless he's been through shit. Yeah. And this is what I say. People email me their long lists of all the bad things that happened to them, and I reply, fantastic. You are so lucky. You have all the building blocks to become the exact kind of man you want to be. If none of this shit happened to you, when something else bad happens to you later, you wouldn't be able to deal with it. Fantastic. And he goes, no, but you know, this. He replied again with more excuses. Said, why are you making excuses? I just told you what happened to you is a good thing. You need to reframe your mind. Bad things happened to Batman. They killed his parents. Do you understand? That's why he's Batman. You just told me you have the building blocks to become you might become top G when I retire. Fantastic. What are you complaining about? He goes, well, what do? I said, you need to work. Take all that trauma. If you're truly heartbroken, my friend, and we've all been there as men, if you're truly heartbroken, you can't sleep. That means you're going to get in fantastic shape. You better hit the gym. Get rid of your excuses. Stop defending the thing that's ruined your life and get to fucking work. Most people have this view of they work and they get money. So they go to work, they make something, and then they get money. So they think they're making money. You cannot make money. You can only take money from other people. You can only convince other people to give you money. That's the only way money can be made, unless you're the Federal Reserve, and you're not the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve makes money. You take money. So when you're going through life, I want you guys to stop saying, I want to make money. You have to start saying, I want to take money. Because that's how you have to think. You don't make it. You take it. So you have to start talking that way. You got to take money. Business is simple. It's just other people's money. That's all a business is. A business is getting other people to send you their money. That's what a business is. Now, the Federal Reserve makes money. It doesn't matter. In America, they make dollars. It doesn't matter what country you're in. You've got your own version of the Federal Reserve. They create money from thin air. You need to understand something, is that money isn't real, and it's created from thin air to enslave us. You are slaves for money. The people who are in charge of the world, what they do is they type in numbers on a screen and they turn on the printer. They print pieces of paper, and then they use these pieces of paper to make you do things you don't want to do and make you a slave for pieces of paper that they make effectively for free. Now, the important thing about this is that this destroys the idea of saving yourself rich. I have lots of people come to me and go, oh, well, I'm saving for, if I save for my retirement, save. You cannot save yourself rich because you can never save money faster than the Federal Reserve can print money. They call it quantitative easing. They call it like economy rescue. They call all these stupid things. Basically what they do is they turn on the printing press and they print money. So there's no point in you saving this money, working hard, saving little bits, and then they just print more. That's why you have to deal with inflation. That's why your money's worth less every year. But my point is, if more and more is going into circulation, you need to find a way to get more and more. You don't need to save the little bits you have, like a little squirrel. Let me get the little bits, let me just save them. No, you got to find a way to get more and more. More exists. Every day there is more money. Remember, we're not trying to make money, we're trying to take money. Every day there is more money out there. Every street you drive down, every building is owned by somebody. Somebody owns that building. Billions of dollars. You drive down one road, you see billions. That skyscraper, that building, millions. From Tokyo, Shanghai, Dallas, LA, everything. There is so much money, it's everywhere. You have to find a way to take. You cannot make, and you cannot save. I want to give a very quick example. Let's imagine you made €10,000 a month. Okay, I've got $3 million of cars. That's what I've got. So let's imagine you make $10,000 a month. Because everyone says, oh, if I could make $10,000, I'd be really happy if I could make $10,000. So if you think $10,000 is a good amount, then let's do some math. I got $3 million of cars. You're making $10,000 a month. You are saving 100% of your income. You're not spending any of it. You're not spending a penny. You're eating for free, living for free, getting to and from work for free, not going out with your friends. You're not doing nothing. And each month, you're saving your whole $10,000. It's going to take you 300 months, 25 years, divided by 12. 300 months is 25 years to save up enough money to buy my cars. 25 years of your life, you're going to have to save and work and spend $0 to get my cars. It's impossible. The only way you get my cars is by earning more, not by saving. Get rid of the idea of saving. Get rid of the idea of making money. Now, I'm not saying be irresponsible. I'm not saying throw all your money away. But the idea that you can save yourself rich is a joke. It's the kind of lie that the people in charge, the slave masters, want you to believe. Oh, don't worry. Just keep working and you keep saving $100 a month while I print trillions a week. That's stupid. Don't be stupid. More money exists every day. You have to find a way to take more money. Money never stays still. If you put money in a bank, that bank is using it for something. If you spend money, it's moving from one place to another. If you buy a Starbucks, Starbucks takes your money, pays its employees. Then the employee goes to the store and buys something. The money is always moving. So once again, we are not trying to make money. More money exists every day. We are trying to take money, and it's always moving. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Understand something. If you were a bandit and you wanted to take people's stuff, like, you know, the train robbers, they wouldn't try and get the gold when it was stuck in the vaults or the banks. They would try and get the gold when it was moving. They'd wait till it was being transported and they'd hijack it. Just run up on it. Pop, 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 give me the gold. So when something's moving, it's vulnerable. So money is always vulnerable. Write this down. We're not trying to make money. We're trying to take money. More exists every day. It's always moving and it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable because it's always moving. If you can find and identify a place where money is moving, if you can find a place where money is moving and stand in the way, then the money is vulnerable. You have to identify where it's moving and you have to attack the money. Just like a goal on a train, you got to run up on it. So I saw money moving and I ran up on it. That's what you have to do. So this is the reframe. You don't make money. You must take money. Money is always moving. There's more of it every day. And it is vulnerable. And you must find where money is moving and attack it. I'll give you guys a perfect example. Look at these companies like Glovo. Glovo, what's Glovo? Glovo thought people order food. Okay, well, how about I deal with getting the food from the store to the person and I can make some money? That's all it is. They saw money moving. Money's going to a restaurant, food's going to a person. Well, if I can find a way to streamline the delivery, I can make some money. It's getting in the way of money moving. Start paying attention to how money's moving and start trying to get in the way. This is another really important point on how to make money. Most people never spend any of their time or any of their attention trying to find ways to make money. Now, I'll give you an example. When I was broke, I understood the principles I've already taught to you. How money is always moving and it's vulnerable when it's moving. So every time I spent money, every single time I spent money, I would sit and work out how they convinced me to spend money. So if I went to Starbucks and I just bought a latte, this is what you guys do. This is what you people do. Starbucks, latte please. Okay, that's $5. Okay, $5. Sip, sip, sip. sip, sip, go home. That's what you do. Here's what I do. I walk in, latte please, $5. I pay the $5. I sit down, I look at my cup and go, $5. This is 99% water. They get the cup for a penny. They get the coffee for 2 pennies max. And the rest is hot water. Now I paid $5. So I'll sit there and go, okay, how did they convince me? They had a big branding sign. They had a big Starbucks sign outside. I kind of wanted coffee. I know about Starbucks. They're all over the internet. They do good advertising. When I walked in, I could smell coffee. There was perfume in the air. Now, how else could they have made me spend more money? Why did I only spend $5 and I didn't spend $100? Do they have cake? Do they have food? Well, they have food, but it doesn't look very good. It's not laid out. They don't have hot meals. Oh, most of the people in here are men on their lunch break from business. Why is a man serving? If a pretty girl was working here, they'd have more people coming in for coffee. Do you understand? When I spend money, I sit and I analyze. How did I spend money? Where could more money have been spent? How could they have taken more money from me? How much is the rent of this Starbucks? If I were to open up a business next door to Starbucks, could I sell lattes for $4 instead of $5? Would I be able to afford staff, rent, bills? Every time I spend money, I look at why money is being spent so I can identify the money moving, and it gives me ideas to make money. All I do whenever I see money moving is try and get involved. You have to see, you have to change the way you view the world. Every time you spend money, every time your friend spends money, every time you see money being spent or moving, you need to work out how it was convinced. Because Starbucks didn't make $5. Starbucks took $5 from me. Do you understand? Starbucks took my money. They robbed me. They took my money. They took $5 in exchange for a coffee which is worth less than 10 cents. I got robbed. Broad daylight. Now, you need to sit and work out how you're getting robbed. Because if you work out how people are robbing you, it will give you more ideas on how you can get in between other people. Do you understand? If you sit there and go, how is everyone taking my money? Okay, now I see how they're taking my money. So how can I do the same thing and take other people's money? You need to start viewing the world that way. Most of you never consider that when you spend money. It should be all you think about because you're going to have ideas. Listen, Starbucks is just a coffee shop. They're one of the richest companies in the world. But they didn't come up with a great idea. It's not a revolutionary idea. It's the most boring idea. We're going to sell coffee, maybe a couple brownies. We'll have free Wi-Fi. That's the crappiest business idea. That's the worst idea. And they have all this money. People always say, Andrew, I need an idea. No, you don't. You don't need a good idea because bad ideas make money. Boring ideas make money. The most basic things make money because people are always spending money. Look at the stuff you spend money on. You're not spending money on taking a rocket to elephant space. You're not doing anything unique. You're spending money on crap. People are robbing you with crap and junk. That's what's happening. So you can do the same thing. What was the quote I said? What was the quote I said at the beginning? Business. It's just other people's money.
Is that I refuse to believe in things that take power away from me. If you are in a haunted house and you believe in ghosts, you're scared of the haunted house. If you're in a haunted house and you don't believe in ghosts, you're just in a house and you don't care. So I don't like the idea when someone explains to me the idea of one day waking up and being miserable and not wanting to live anymore, and it's nothing to do with my circumstances and I have no power over it, and no matter how good my life is, I'm still going to feel terrible and I'm going to want to die. That's not an idea I subscribe to. That's not a reality I'm ever going to want. But that's depressed is real.
Yeah.
Depression as a disease, I do not subscribe to. The idea, I believe, that if you feel depressed, something is depressing you, and you should try your best to fix it. You should take control of your life and do your best to fix it. The idea, but they don't say that. They don't talk that. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain. You're sad no matter what, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you need to only take pills. And I think that's a very bad way to look at the world, and that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, but you believe in the idea of depression, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed, self-hypnosing yourself into hypnotizing yourself into being clinically depressed. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I cannot become depressed because I don't believe in it.
So how about chemical imbalances in the brain?
Bullshit. That's all been disproved anyway.
Really? So
it's all been disproved. Firstly, that's all been disproved. And secondly, even if that was true, even if I had a chemical imbalance in my brain, I do not believe in depression. That's just who I am as a person. I don't believe in it. I do not believe in things that take power away from me. So, and people sit there and they try very hard to convince me it's real, which is actually quite interesting because it's always usually depressed people who sit there and try very hard to defend this idea. If you're so scared, if depression's so terrible, why are you sticking up for it? Why are you fighting so hard to convince me it's such a powerful force? Why shouldn't you be doing the opposite? Shouldn't you be listening to me? Whose team are you on? Like, do you want to be depressed? Like, it's insanity, these people who are so desperate to push this idea. Then you add in the pharmaceutical element and the fact that everyone's taking these fucking drugs, messing with their brain chemistry. It's garbage. I think that you feel depressed sometimes because you're human.
So you felt depressed at times, would you say?
We're all human.
Yeah, because I felt depressed. I mean, I had some major, it might not sound big, but some major dental surgery done, and it really got me down for a while. But my businesses and running those, to be honest, picked me up because it was like, I can't be like this. Get in there, do some business.
Well, completely. And also, let's look at it. Let's pretend I'm completely wrong, right? We can look at situational depression like you just described. We can talk about brain imbalance and chemical imbalance. We can talk about clinical depression that you get and it's chronic and nothing you do about it, whatever. Let's pretend all these things are completely true. The best option, the best thing to do is still to get up, be an adult, control your emotions, be stoic, and do the things you're supposed to do day after day. Laying in bed and doing nothing is never going to be the best option. The best option is still to go to the gym, to work hard, to run your business, to be successful. So it doesn't matter. We're talking about the different positions on the chessboard. But if the rules of the game remain the same, regardless of the position you're still trying to win, you still have to do the same things. So does it even matter at this point? If you come along and say he's depressed because of X and he's depressed because of Y and he's depressed because of Z, and the answer to all of them is still the same thing, then I don't give a fuck why you're depressed. All I know, what I will say as a matter of fact, is this world is hyper-competitive, especially as a man. Most men are walking through life and they don't realize that it's constant competition. I was driving here, even as I was driving here, I was looking out the windows, and all these people just walking around. One of them had a fucking croissant. One of them was dressed like a dickhead because it's London. He's fucking looks cool. Some of the dude just talking shit on the phone. Some other guy with headphones in, waiting to be fucking murdered. Wouldn't even hear it coming. And all these NPCs, I'm just looking at them going, do they realize they're in endless, constant competition? Every single pound they want, someone else wants. Every single girl they want, someone else wants. There are people like me out here. I will destroy, you could get all 30 of them in a room, and I will sit by myself and absolutely annihilate them in any single metric. And they're just sitting there just fucking floundering and wandering through life, unaware of how competitive the world is.
Well, and whinging how unfair it is.
And whinging how unfair it is. And this is my point. If the world is truly that competitive, you do not have time to be depressed because it's a non-competitive mind state. You could be depressed for X, Y, Z, whatever. I'm not depressed. And I want the money you want, and I want the girl you want, and I want the status you want, and the car you want, and the house you want. And I'm going to get it, and you're fucking not. And that's the bottom line of life.
If you gave that guy...
Pills just numbs you.
Mask.
Yeah.
Masks.
Well, it's not a holistic way to treat it, is it? Whereas what you're saying is more so.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you're playing a game, and it's a competitive game, and you need to build a mindset that allows you to be ultra competitive. If you want to sit there and say, no, I want a non-competitive mindset, then fine. You know what you call people who do not win competitions?
Losers.
Correct.
Dan is the first loser. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. And it's just a bottom line of life. And it's kind of interesting because everyone pretends they give a fuck, but nobody does. Especially women. And I know I get attacked for women, but women truly don't give a fuck. If you ask a woman the kind of man she wants, she will never say depressed or sad. Ever. She wants a man who is ultra capable, ultra competent. I've literally had women say to me, you know what I love being around you? I'm like, what? I don't have to think. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I just turn up and like, we just walk in the hotel and everyone, staff do anything we want and the jet's just on the runway and we just land and I'm in this beautiful place and I don't even know where I am and I get to just turn my brain off and it's great. Like, they want someone who is fun and spontaneous and charismatic and successful. They don't have time for sad dudes. They don't care. So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're going to sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, You're going to have a shit life and nobody's ever going to give a fuck and you're going to perpetually lose forever. And that is your decision. I am so scared of being that person. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that could possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I could possibly imagine happen to me. I know